Hi, I'm Harvey Blankfeld, host of Las Vegas Real Estate Now and principal of the Blankfeld Group at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services of Nevada. We have prepared this video for you so you can better understand the documents we use here in Southern Nevada. And while we don't review every section of the document, we do try and clear up some of the most relevant concerns. We are recording this video in 2023, and if you're watching long after that, there are likely changes that have taken place with this document, and this video may have some parts that are outdated. Also know that we operate in Southern Nevada, and these forms are specific to our market. While you may be able to glean some value from this video, please know that no two markets operate exactly alike. And finally, I need you to know that I'm not an attorney, and none of what I'm saying should be interpreted as legal advice. Okay, let's get started. The Seller's Real Property Disclosure Form. This is commonly known here in Southern Nevada as the SRPD. That's the acronym we all use for it. What you want to do is you want to complete this as a seller, and you want to tell the buyer in this document anything and everything you're aware of that's wrong with the home. That's really important. I'm doing this video to help you complete the form because it can be tricky, but I'm not allowed to coach you, so I've got to be a little bit careful. But I do want to try to help you to complete it properly. And again, if you're in doubt, disclose. Over-disclose, because if you don't, there are consequences, and those consequences can be quite severe. And we'll get into that towards the end of the document. But let's just start off with the first page, and let's talk about what you're going to be doing. So right off the bat, I'm just going to read this first line so you understand. This is a Nevada law. It's required by the state of Nevada to be used in every residential purchase. In accordance with Nevada law, the seller of a residential real property in Nevada must disclose any and all known conditions and aspects of the property which materially affect the value or use of residential property in an adverse manner. Anything and everything you're aware of that's wrong with the home. You'd put in the date that you're completing this here. You put in the address of your property. Check off whether you live in the property either now or previously. If you've ever lived in it, you want to say yes. This note says that I am not allowed to complete this for you. Your listing agent cannot complete this form for you. You must do it yourself. And a purchaser may not waive it. A buyer cannot be asked to waive this form. They must be provided this form. There are a few exceptions to that rule, but they're pretty obscure, so I'm not really going to go into those. Down here, you're going to check off as to what type of seller you are. In this case, they're an owner-occupier, but you could be a landlord. If you're a landlord, you might check this box right here and write in landlord right over here in this line. And then on page 1, we get into the question and answers, checking off the boxes. And the question you're answering in each one of these boxes is, are you aware of any problems or defects with the following? Are there any problems or defects with the electrical system? In this case, no. No means there's no problems. Yes means there are problems. And A means I don't have that system or appliance in my home. It's not even there. Okay, here I get down to this septic tank and leach field. You either have a sewer system or a septic tank. One of them is going to be NA. Well and pump. Not too many homes here in Southern Nevada have wells, but some do. And if you have one, is there any problem with it? Disclose it here. Here they don't have one. So yard sprinklers, these other things. I'm going to get into solar heating system. I won't explain this because that's not the solar electric system. This is a solar heating system. You might have one for your pool, or you might have one for the home. Some people might have a solar heating system for their property. Down here is a water treatment system, a water softener, water filtration. Is it owned or is it leased? In this case, they marked owned, but if it was leased, you'd want to disclose it. You'd want to let the buyer know it's leased. Very important. That's going to save you some headache and trouble later on. These all have no problems, no problems, no problems. There is a problem with a dishwasher in this home, and we'll find out what that is when we get to page 3. No problems with the garbage disposal. They don't have these things. The alarm system, in this case, it is leased. Again, good idea. Disclose it to them. Let them know, yeah, I have an alarm system, but it's leased. Now we're going to figure out whether or not they're going to assume that lease or whether we're going to cancel the lease, how we're going to deal with that. Data communication lines are pretty obscure. They do happen occasionally in homes when people bring special, I think they call it a T1 line. Satellite dishes, most of those are in fact leased. You don't own them. If DirecTV or some of these other guys, those are usually leased. You'd want to disclose it if there's any problem with it. Other, this is where you would disclose any other appliance or a system in the property that's not listed here. You have a steam shower. And if you have one, you'd want to write in steam shower here and say whether or not there's any problems with it. Now at the bottom, you want to initial it as the sellers. All sellers should initial this. If there's more than 2, just squeeze in the initials. Get them all on the page. Now let's go to page 2. At page 2, the question is a little bit different. The question here is, are you aware of any of the following? Now, All of these questions are related to the property's condition right now at the time of sale, except for a few, and they're on this page, and we'll get to those. Matter of fact, the very first question has the word previous in it. So was there ever any moisture conditions or water damage? Was there ever any water damage in this property? You would want to say, in this case, they said yes, there was water damage. So we're going to find out more about that when we get to page 3. Any structural defect, any construction made without permits. And they didn't have that here. Any construction defect claims, they didn't have that here. Is the home on this part 2, is it on expansive soil? There are homes in the southern Nevada that were built on expansive soil. Significant foundational issues with that. If you are on expansive soil and you're aware of it, you need to let the buyer know about it. These are all no's. Is it in a floodplain? This is something we can look up for you if you're not aware. If it's in a floodplain and you have a mortgage, you're probably paying flood insurance. But if you're not sure, just let us know, let your listing agent know, and we'll look that up for you, and we'll provide some documentation for it. So these are all no's. Roof, no problem. Pool spa. This could be NA. In this case, they have a pool, but they're saying there's no problems with it. But if you don't have a pool, to say NA. Any history of infestations? Did you ever have termites or carpenter ants or some other pest issue in the property? Environmental issues. Are you storing any dangerous chemicals? Do you have a chemical storage tank on the property? No here. This 6B, I love this question. Has the home ever been a site of a crime involving previous manufacture of methamphetamine? You've been running a meth lab in your home? Are you aware, was there ever a meth lab in the home? Just something you'd want to disclose. Someday somebody's going to say, oh yeah, Harv, that's how I pay my mortgage. That's how I make a living. I run a meth lab here. Hasn't happened yet, but it might. Again, here's that word previous on mold. Was there ever mold in this home? Here they're saying, yes, there was mold. We're going to find out more about that on page 3. Anything shared in common with your neighbors. Here in Southern Nevada, very often our properties, we share our yard walls with our neighbors. The walls surrounding our backyard, they're common walls, so we share those with our neighbors. So most of the time you're going to say yes here. Is the home in an HOA? Yes. Are there bylaws? Yes. Is there recurring fees? Yes. Is there any unpaid assessments? No, not in this case. Any litigation related to the common area? Nope, not in this case. If there was, you'd want to disclose it here, and you'd want to explain it on page 3. Any assessments on the property other than property taxes? That's for SIDs or LIDs, maybe. In this case, they are. So they're saying, yeah, we have a SID. They actually do have a SID. They're going to talk about that on page 3. Any construction made without permission of the association? No, in this case. Any problems with the water or water supply? Nope. If you're getting the water from the Southern Nevada Water Authority or the Water District, your water is probably fine. Hopefully it remains so. Any other conditions or aspects of the property which materially affect its value in an adverse manner? If you have something else you need to tell the buyer about, tell them here. This is the place to say it. If it's not on the form, doesn't mean you don't have to tell them. You still have to tell them, and this is the place you would check. Yes, I have to tell you about this other problem we have with the property. Lead-based paint, that wasn't the case here. It was built after 1977. They have municipal water. Conservation easement. Did you ever have grass taken out of your property or a pool removed and get paid by the Southern Nevada Water Authority? If that's the case, you'd want to disclose that. Yes, here. It's going to show up likely at escrow anyway. You want to make sure they know about it. Solar panels. Such an important question on this document as of late. Do you have solar panels? Yes. Do you own them, lease them, or finance them? You need to be thinking about this answer. If you're leasing them, you want to market. These people are leasing their solar system, and you want to make sure you disclose it here because the buyer needs to know that they're going to probably have to assume that lease unless you're prepared to pay it off. They're going to have to assume that lease, and they have to be approved to assume that lease. Wastewater disposal, are you on sewer or are you on private septic or some other system? I'm not sure what other system there might be, but maybe there's another system. And then finally, there's a private transfer fee obligation. This is an obscure element that happened some years ago. Some developers were asking buyers of land to pay them back should they sell it within a certain time frame. Any yeses must be explained on page 3, obviously. You're going to initial here. Again, all the sellers initial here. Page 3. This is where we're explaining all the yeses. So let's take a look at what this seller says. This seller says dishwasher on page 1. Our dishwasher hasn't worked for 2 years. They're not being very forthright here. They're just saying the dishwasher doesn't work. If it was me and I was the listing agent on this, I might ask the seller, hey, gee, maybe it would be better in this case to replace this dishwasher and pay the cost of a dishwasher as opposed to the adverse effect it's going to have on the price we're going to get when we sell it. The buyer may not be happy that they got to go out and buy a dishwasher. In this case, you might want to do it. It's something to consider. Maybe they don't want to. Maybe they don't want to spend any money. I understand. 1A on page 2, they had a toilet leak break upstairs in March of 2020 and that caused water damage in their bathroom and dining room below. It was completely repaired and remediated. See attached documentation. I love that they have attached documentation. If you had some water damage or you had a mold issue, you want to attach whatever documentation you can. It substantiates the work that you did. It helps the buyer feel more comfortable about the work that was done. If you don't have documentation, still disclose. Still disclose that it happened. And item 7 on page 2, when that toilet broke, they had an issue with mold. It was also remediated. They're saying see attached to documentation. Item 8 on page 2, they do share their yard walls with their neighbors. 9, 9A, 9B, they're in an HOA and a master plan. And they do have a SID balance 9E. And 15, they have a leased solar system, see attached. Again, attach those solar lease documents to this disclosure so the buyer's aware of what they're assuming. It just makes things easier. And again, I prepare this have this document prepared well ahead of any offers, and I present it with the counteroffer right away. So the buyers have it. They can make their decisions based on what they've read here. Again, you're going to initial right here on the bottom. Pages 4 and 5 tell you all the horrible things that are going to happen to you if you lied on pages 1, 2, or 3. And I'm going to go just over a couple quick explanations here. It basically says that if you fail to do it, the buyer could rescind the contract without any penalty. It also says if you fail to do it, they could collect 3 times the cost of repairs. And finally, down here, they have up to 2 years after the close of escrow to do that, to sue you for 3 times the cost of the repairs. So fill it out thoroughly, fill it out completely, be open and honest. Again, over-disclose if anything you're not sure about, just disclose it. It's just really important. And then at the bottom here, you're going to sign and date. Again, all sellers should sign a date. If there's more than 2, squeeze them in. Get them all in there. Well, that's our Seller's Real Property Disclosure, the SRPD. Thanks for paying attention. I hope you found this video helpful. Please feel free to review our other videos at www.lbrealestateradio.com. And once again, thank you for taking the time to learn about this document. And if you have any questions, just call or text me at 702-203-1165.